All right, there we go. We are up and going. Welcome to the deadline edition of the Pitch Out. As always, I'm Dan Siegel. That is Detroit fan Nik Jarvinen. And, well, we are, let's see here, a little under an hour away from the deadline, and not a whole lot to speak of thus far. The biggest domino falling was last night. Um, Basically, right after or right before the brawl broke out in the Reds and Pirates game, a three-team deal went down between the Padres, the Indians, and the Reds, in which Trevor Bauer got shipped from Cleveland to Cincinnati. Cleveland, got Yasiel Puig along with Logan Allen and Franmil Reyes from San Diego. San Diego gets Taylor Trammell. Now, Nick, I understand the move from Cincinnati's standpoint, obviously. They get Bauer, and they've now got, a pretty solid top three of the rotation. Get it from Cleveland's aspect. They get a pitcher back in Allen, who is a fringe top 100 prospect. He's probably more of a back end guy, but nevertheless, get an arm. Reyes has pop, and he's more of an AL guy. I don't get it from San Diego's point of view. You're taking a shot. I mean, you watched San Diego needs an arm. You watch Bauer go to Cincy in a trade that you helped facilitate, and you've basically taken a shot on Taylor Trammell, who's struggling in Double A.
Yeah, Trammell really had his breakout year in the Midwest League, and this was 2 years ago, and then he won the Futures Game MVP last year, but this year he's definitely taken a step backwards. I was actually looking at his numbers yesterday, which they say never, scout the stat line completely, but his OPS leaves a lot to be desired, but he's still putting up an okay year. He's a little bit young for the level, so he might have to repeat it. He's definitely a high upside guy, but I don't really get it for the Padres, and I think it's almost a risky deal for the Indians a little bit. They got the help they needed, and they did get Logan Allen, and I think it is a good deal for the Indians. But you also have to take into account the human aspect of it, psychological aspect of Trevor Bauer was really close with a lot of the pitchers there, maybe not Kluber, but I know he was close with Mike Clevenger. They're like best friends. And and right now Carrasco is dealing with leukemia, obviously, so I probably won't be back this year. And Danny Salazar is wondering if, in a way they're kind of sacrificing one thing for the other, and it'll be a little risky. I mean, they got Puig, they got Reyes, they got the outfield / DH they really needed. And it was a deal they had to make, but it kind of reminds me in a way of the deal the Tigers made in 2014, where they got David Price, but they had to give up Austin Jackson, and they had kind of trouble because Rajai Davis ended up getting hurt, and then Ezekiel Carrera was pressed in the center field duty for a lot of the rest of the postseason. So it kind of hurt them in a way, just because it kind of broke up a winning team, a key player on a winning team. So that's one thing I think you should watch out for. But I liked that. I like the deal. I think the Indians kind of had to make it just because they don't have the offensive help. But yeah, I mean, from the Padres end, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know if they thought they were going to get Syndergaard, who the Mets now say is off the table as of last night. So I don't know what the Padres exactly were doing because, yeah, Trammell, he's had a bad year, and he's still a top 100 prospect, even though his stock's taken a little bit of a hit this year. But it is a head-scratching deal because you traded away a guy who he's a liability in some aspects, but he does have 27 home runs. He's about to maybe hit 40 home runs, come in the neighborhood of 40 home runs this year at the major league level. And you traded one of your top 10 prospects and one of your better pitching arms in your system. Even though they do have a deep system of pitching arms, Logan Allen's nothing to scoff at. And they did that all for Trammell, who could be a star center fielder, but he could also just be, just a average center fielder. So it's definitely a risky move on the Padres' part, and it doesn't make a lot of sense because they need pitching. So
we've seen a lot of little moves that have gone down here today, as you see along our ticker here on the side. The Nats have been loading up on prospects. They got Daniel Hudson and Rones Elias and Hunter Strickland. Jesus Aguilar, who was an All-Star last year. Rays are trying to buy low on him. They made that move. Um, just now, Corey Dickerson went to the Phillies. I don't get that. How many outfielders do the Phillies need?
Well, I was thinking about this before we went live. If the Phillies do want to make a big move and surprise everybody at the deadline, you know what the Dickerson deal does is it really opens up. They don't need Adam Hazley this year, and that makes him expendable because obviously they're playing for this year. So they could include Adam Hazley in the deal for maybe. Like the Tigers aren't going to trade Boyd, which we'll get into the Tigers later. But he's had a really good 2 years with Pittsburgh, and he's shown that he's not a defensive liability. He won a Gold Glove last year, I believe. He's a good pickup, and I think that's kind of what that's doing. Because Ramon Quinn can play center, and I think that's what that's going to do is make Adam Hazley expendable. And they've got a good pinch hitter and a guy that they can use down the stretch.
Well, here
so
we have semi-breaking news here. It's not done yet, but according to Rosenthal, the Braves are closing in on getting Shane Green.
Okay. Wow, that is huge as a Tigers fan. I'd like to know who they're going to get back. Yesterday, another minor move I'll bring up real quick was Chris Martin for Colby Allard. Chris Martin's having a really good year, but he was kind of a fairly unknown reliever. I mean, that's the lifespan of relievers. They come and go, and then 3 years down the road, they show back up again. And that was kind of Chris Martin's career path. He kind of had some cups of coffee with the Rockies and I believe the Yankees even. And then he kind of really broke out with the Rangers. He's by no means like a proven reliever, though. And they gave up Colby Allard, who Allard in that deep pitching system was never really going to cut it, even though coming into last year is highly regarded. His stock also kind of fell. But I felt like that was almost an overpay. So we'll have to see what the Tigers get. I'm wondering if they get William Contreras, Wilson's little brother, because the Braves just drafted Shea Langmuir. I might have mispronounced his last name. I haven't said it that much. But they drafted him as a top 10 pick, so that kind of makes Contreras expendable. The Tigers have Jake Rogers at the major league level. I'm not sure he's the answer. I think he's kind of more of the same, like almost a James McCann type, where he has a really good arm and power, but he's not going to hit real well. So it'd be interesting to see if the Tigers got their catcher of the future in this deal. But for the Braves, this is huge. Luke Jackson, I have him on one of my fantasy teams in one of my money leagues. He gets saves and he's an electric pitcher, but man, I mean, he's like Todd Jones, like a roller coaster type guy. Like there's always guys on base. It's always dramatic. He blows some saves, so that'll really shore up the back end.
Here's what I'm confused about. The Braves and Dodgers were in on Green after the Nationals had basically went and sucked up a lot of mid-tier reliever arms, so that took them out. So it was the Dodgers and Braves, and like I said, Rosenthal is saying that it's not done yet, but it seems like the Braves are closing in on a deal. The Dodgers need another reliever to go with Jansen, and they have been in on the Pirates' Felipe Vasquez for most of the day, and according to what I just saw, the Pirates are not budging from an asking price of Keibert Ruiz plus one of Gavin Lux or Dustin May. So if that is the price, which is a very steep price, mind you, and the Dodgers don't want to do that, how do they lose out on Shane Green? What else is out there at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. And one thing I do, with the Pirates, one thing I like, Felipe Vasquez is a top 5 closer in baseball. From the left side, his arm angle, just from a scouting standpoint, his nickname is Nightmare. He quite literally is a nightmare to face. And he's got 68 strikeouts in 43 innings this year. He's striking out about a batter and a half an inning. So, I mean, the dude is really good. And he's under team control through 2022. So you're getting a lockdown bullpen arm. So I can kind of understand the asking price, just like I understand the Tigers want Kyle Tucker for 2.5 years of Matt Boyd, who's showing flashes of being elite. He hasn't quite shown the consistency yet, but he very well could be, and with that control, he's almost worth that. So I can understand why teams are doing that, especially when they're the ones with leverage, because there's only about probably 10 teams truly selling out there. just because of the second wild card. And this year, everybody's kind of lumped together in both the AL and NL for the wild card races. I mean, we're talking about the Reds acquiring Bauer. They're 6-7 games under 500. I mean, and they're still kind of aiming for the playoffs and maybe a little next year. But, I see why teams are asking that. And I really do think the Dodgers are going to have to give up Dustin May and Keibert Ruiz to get Vasquez. I think that would be the deal straight up. And, I can't even say it's necessarily an unfair deal. So to let, if you don't want to do that, that's fair. I mean, they're the ones with the leverage. So they're the ones with the guy you want. So it seems like it is a kind of weird that they wouldn't go after Shane Green, who was kind of pretty much the best closer left on the market now that some of the guys we're hearing, got pulled back, like Kirby Yates got pulled off the market. They're trying to extend him. So, Green pretty much was the best guy besides Vasquez on the market, and Vasquez, you're going to have to pay to get him, just like with Boyd. So,
see,
yeah.
I want to know, right? We're talking about relievers and big relievers, right? And we're talking about Vasquez, who has, control through 2022. I want to know what Brody is doing with Edwin Diaz. Okay, Edwin Diaz, I understand value-wise off of this year is shot. Okay, and last night did him no freaking favors. Okay, and I'm at the point of basically saying that I'm not sure Edwin Diaz can handle New York, because there hasn't been an ounce, not one situation this year where I could say that, oh well, it's just a bad year. No, he's been awful the entire year. So I understand that value is shot, but in this market, when he is making the league minimum for another couple of years, okay, and there was no other high-end reliever, you got to think he'd still be able to get you something.
I heard the Red Sox were really in on him, but the name I kept hearing get thrown around was Benintendi, which I don't think Dombrowski would do. I mean, I don't know. In a way, though, with the 5.05 ERA and everything going on, it might be better just to wait to the offseason. I don't know, though, because teams tend to pay a little more at the trade deadline just because there's desperation to make playoff. Teams are kind of wisening up and not playing on emotions as much anymore.
My point is that you've got at least, off the top of my head, 3-4 teams that could use a power bullpen arm. I'm not even talking about Diaz as your closer, just a power arm. Put him in the 8th if you got to. Okay? You telling me the Dodgers couldn't use Diaz? You telling me even with their acquisitions, the Nats couldn't use Diaz? All right, the Braves are closing in on Green, so that takes them out. The Yankees would take Diaz. I mean, there are teams out there that I'm sure, despite everything, would take Diaz.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't know what teams. I mean, obviously, like a team like the Red Sox and those, with the way he's going, they probably have a leverage not to give up the star guy that the Mets want.
Well, see, here's the thing. Issue. That's what I understand it if, teams are going, listen, the guy's got a 5 ERA. I'm not going to give you anything for him. Okay, then Brody, whatever. Hold him. I get that. But I just think that with the way the market is playing out and the names that have already gone and the names that we expected to at least be on the market that aren't on the market, you actually are sitting with more leverage than it appears with Diaz.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that Brody, in his mind, that's what his deal is. He wants his value to go up because he thinks that because he made the Cano deal and gave up Kleinick, who is a top 20 prospect now, and Justin Dunn, who looks like he'll be a serviceable major league starter. So, and he's got to pay most of that Cano contract. So I think if he trades Diaz, he really wants something big. So it's almost like, not cutting your losses, and letting it get worse.
Dodgers have just made a trade for Jed Jerko.
Yeah. A lot going on. They really saved it for this last hour, but the thing that's surprising me is there really isn't a big blockbuster.
No, here's the thing. We've got 3 teams: the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Astros. Okay, the Dodgers are looking for the big reliever, and I think the Yankees and Astros are both looking for the big starter.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure where it's coming from.
I feel like at 4:15 we're gonna have a big bombshell, like some years we do.
All right. Well, seriously, go through it. Bumgarner's not going nowhere. All right. Boyd apparently isn't going anywhere. Syndergaard's not going anywhere. Wheeler may or may not be out there. Wheeler might be the biggest name maybe out there at the moment. Okay. Is somebody going to eat the money on Greinke? Robbie Ray?
Robbie Ray talks have stalled is what MLB trade rumors.
Well, considering the supposed asking price from the Yankees for Robbie Ray, I can see why the Yankees balked. Although, here's the thing with the Yankees for me. They don't want to put Clint Frazier in any deal, apparently. But they don't want to use Clint Frazier either.
Yeah, it's like the poor guy's captive at that organization.
That trade was the worst thing
that ever happened to him. They've totally mishandled him. He's like the modern day Java Chamberlain. Yeah, I don't get it either. It doesn't make any sense. Especially an expendable guy, and you have to trade prospects in order to get a good player, especially at the deadline. It's been like that. Do you want to win the World Series or not?
It's the same thing with the Astros and Kyle Tucker. They don't want to put Kyle Tucker in any deal, but Kyle Tucker's got like 800 at bats in the same level. Like, what else does he have to do?
Yeah, and they went out in last offseason when they could have just had him, be their left fielder. They signed Brantley, which ended up being a good deal. But at the time, it looked risky because Brantley has been an injury risk. And it might still be.
Seriously,
but they obviously don't favor him as much as they used to.
Kyle Tucker can't push Jake Marisnick for playing time?
Yeah, I don't get it. Well, that's not even fair because Marisnick's just the fourth outfielder. But it's just like he should, because Kyle Tucker has to be starting. I mean, he deserves a shot, and I just don't think. I just don't understand. Josh Reddick has done, I mean, he's having an okay year, but really, I mean, 10 homers, 35 RBIs. He's hitting 278 with a 321. His OPS is 726, which is about 7% below league average. You don't think Kyle Tucker could be at least a league average hitter?
That's why.
I mean, I know Josh are paying him, but
that's why I keep downplaying the Kyle Tucker hype, because if everything screams for the Astros to use him, and they won't. So what is the issue?
Yeah, I don't understand it. He's been a top 20 prospect for years, and frankly, Josh Reddick, I mean, he's doing good, and he's he's definitely a defense. He's a little bit of a above league average player. I think his WAR's 1 right now, so he's on pace for 1.6, 1.7 WAR season, 1.5, somewhere in there. But I mean, that's above league average. But Kyle Tucker, I mean, you're talking about a guy who you expect to come in and be worth 4 or 5 wins above replacement, hopefully. And yeah, he might be young, so it might only be 2 or 3, but that's still an upgrade over Reddick. So, I mean, if you're not going to use him, I understand servicing Josh Reddick and keeping him starting. I mean, he's worth more than a replacement player, and you're paying him a lot of money, and he obviously fits in that lineup. But then trade Kyle Tucker for Matt Boyd and look at your rotation. I mean, the Tigers just want Kyle Tucker and another lower name guy for Boyd. I mean, I would do that. I just don't understand that aspect of it.
So apparently teams are calling the Blue Jays about Aaron Sanchez, and a deal isn't getting done because they want Sanchez to be a 7th or 8th inning guy, and Sanchez wants to be a starter.
Well, I can tell you this about Sanchez. I don't think he's going to cut it as a starter. So, I mean, I don't know. It seems like a little bit of a possible issue in the clubhouse. Letting this whole starting thing affect him because he's on a. I mean, I can't speak to it personally, but just from everything that I've seen and heard, it just doesn't seem like he necessarily is going to be the team player who does that. So, which is fine. It's his decision. I mean, if he wants to start, he wants to start. But the way he's going, I don't see his future being in this expectation. He had one really good year.
Let's talk about two of the deals that are already done that involve some prospects. The Giants deal, in which they got Mauricio Dubon for Drew Pomeranz and Ray Black. Black, I remember a year or two ago was kind of thought of the way Melvin Adon is thought of now, like this huge, like power arm out of the bullpen that could come in and just blow people away. And Black never really turned into that in the limited exposure he got at the MLB level. Dubon, I'm a little surprised the Brewers gave him up in this deal. I mean, the kid can hit.
Yeah, and he's a middle infielder, so I don't understand the deal really. I mean, Black is good, and Pomeranz sucks. So I mean, I don't understand. I thought when I first saw the deal, I thought it would be for Will Smith, honestly, but I think the Giants won that trade. I just don't see. Is that Pomeranz a free agent after this year? Yes, or yeah, 2020. So he's a free agent after this year. He signed a one-year deal. I mean, he's cheap. It seems like the Brewers are just going for arms. They got Faria in the one deal, and I think both of those guys needed a change of scenery, Aguilar and Faria, because they've both shown really good flash. Aguilar was an all-star, and Faria had a really good stretch in 2018 until he got. They're not acquiring like Faria is going to be a little bit of a project, but starter at 350 in San Francisco, which is a pitcher-friendly park. His ERA was 5.86, and his better. He's allowing his whip's 1.6 walks. The one good thing about him is the strikeouts are a little bit up this year, but overall, nothing more than a number 5 starter. So.
Don't
understand it.
The other prospect deal that went down right before we came on was the one between the Diamondbacks and the Marlins. The Marlins traded Zach Gallen to the D-backs for Jazz Chisholm. Gallen was by far the best pitching prospect that the Marlins have. If you want to take out Sixto, I'm talking about as far as close to the major league level. Gallen's actually been up at the major league level here for a little bit. And Chisholm is a guy who has a lot of pop, but he's been up and down. So this is another move that I didn't get. Like, if you're the Marlins, don't you need arms?
Yeah, as I like the deal for the Diamondbacks. Chisholm was a top 100 prospect coming into this year. He's hitting 204 this year. He does have 18 bombs, but you know at the minor leagues there's the juice ball. So I don't really know exactly how that's going to play out. But Chisholm is he's definitely somebody worth looking at. And I was telling you before, this is probably one of Jeter's guys. Jeter probably seen him play, really likes him. I just think the Marlins probably really like him, and he's kind of a boomer bust prospect. So he's either really going to turn out or he's not. And Gallen's he's proven at the major league level he's a pretty decent starter. So I like the deal for the Diamondbacks, especially moving towards the future. They've got a decent set of arms, and if they can deal Ray and Greinke for something, even if it is this offseason, their rebuild's going to go pretty good. And I think this offseason they're probably going to shop David Peralta, guys like that. So I mean, this is a good start for the Diamondbacks. Good start to the rebuild. They get 2 months to see how Zach Gallen's going to do to stretch for them and really get to see what they got. But with the way Chisholm's performed this year, and just knowing what I know about him, just kind of a boomer bust type hitter, good shortstop. But it wasn't a steal for the Diamondbacks. I mean, Chisholm might turn out to be. I like something paid the price.
All right. So the Shane Green deal is done. He is officially going to Atlanta. Don't know what your Tigers are getting back yet. We'll find that out momentarily, I assume. And the Yankees apparently are out on Zach Wheeler, and they are focusing on bullpen arms, which again leads me to question who?
I don't know. Yes, it's just
we've got 4.
Since the Rays are in on Wheeler now too.
Yeah, Rays have been in on Wheeler. They actually made an offer on Wheeler about a half hour ago, 45 minutes, and that was said to be not close. So I don't know what that was. But I mean, here's the thing. All right, let's go into the Mets for a minute. I still think, and we don't know what offers are coming in. I still think that due to the way the market has kind of played itself out here, I would be shopping Edwin Diaz hard. I think that despite everything that's happened this year, Diaz can get you a good package, because if Yates is off the market and Vasquez is being held for ransom, then Diaz might be the best arm out there. As far as Wheeler is concerned, the Mets don't have to move Wheeler. If you think you are in contention for the wild card, with the acquisition of Stroman, you've got arguably one of, if not the best, starting 5 in Major League Baseball. And
yeah, the one.
And to top it off, you can give Wheeler the qualifying offer next year. Okay? And if you can get a comp pick, or again, if he plays out the year, if he takes the whatever it is, 17, 18 mil for a year, again, you have a full year with arguably one of, if not the best, top 5 rotations in Major League Baseball. So no.
Yeah.
So listen, I am fine with Brody if he does not move Wheeler. My thing is, we've heard that up to 9 teams are in on Wheeler. So if that is the case, what package is not enough to get him? That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, he's kind of in the same position as like an Alex. Needs a good showing, so he probably is asking for a lot. But I don't know what could possibly be. I mean, I'm not in their shoes, so I don't know. But one thing, if Brody's saying, you know what, we went and got Cano, we've got Edwin Diaz, we're holding on to everybody, let's go for it. Why don't Lagares and Aaron out there are your center fielders? Why not go out and get? You don't even have to make a big deal. Go get Danny Santana. He's having a career year. He's a fast, speedy guy you can put at the top of the lineup. He's hitting really well this year. He's hitting 321. I mean, just put him. He can hit second, play center field, and get on base for Pete Alonso and Todd
because
Frazier
the Mets
and all your power hitters.
Brody is anemic to the center field problem. Remember, this is the same guy who traded for Keon Broxton and left Adam Jones sitting on the free agent market until basically Arizona said, hey, whatever, we'll take you.
He traded Keon Broxton, and he traded one of their better draft picks in last year's draft for him, too, which I know wasn't his draft, but, I mean, that was just surprising to me, what they did when they did that, because...
You know what? Listen, I'm all for getting a real center fielder. I don't think that would happen. But here's the other thing that he could do, and he could have easily have done it at any point here with what we've seen so far, especially from the Nationals. Go get another bullpen arm or two, because that bullpen is atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a way... There was... I mean, Chantano definitely veteran presence. Relievers. Out there, you got David Hernandez Jr. There's guys under control for longer, like maybe Garrett, Jose Leclerc, or Joe. Andrew Chafin out there. I mean, there's options where they're not going to cost. None of these guys, even the center fielders, are going to cost you a top prospect. Just give for Gerard Dyson, you're just going to have to give up one upside type of player. These teams just whoops. I'm sorry, I just shook the whole thing. these teams just want one of these one of these guys just to show something for them signing Santana or whatnot. So
here's
don't
another
understand that.
Here's another thing when we're talking about relievers. Why are the White Sox holding on to Colome? Like,
I don't know.
Where is their false hope that they're a contender next year? What am I missing?
I have no idea. I mean, they could make that leap, but I mean, they're just not playing up to that level right now. So, I mean, Mancada broke out. I mean, Tim Anderson had a really good start to the season. James McCann was an all-star, which was random. But, I mean, I don't know. I still think they're a couple years away. I think they need guys like Blake Rutherford to come up. I mean, they're outplaying. They're Pythagorean and he's a decent manager. He's got him playing 5 games better, so he's winning those close games. You just get really badly blown out when they lose, one or the other. But I mean, yeah, I don't understand. Zach Collins didn't do real well in his cup of coffee, but they didn't really give him playing time. I mean, yeah, Yonder Alonso, which was a mistake. Eloy, he didn't come up in a rake, but I mean, he's not hitting real well. He's got a lot of home runs, but that's about it. I mean, there's still a little bit. I mean, obviously, a lot of bad luck with Rodon and Kopech. They lost them for the season. Giolito had the breakout, even though he's cooled off a little bit. Van Nova sucks. Ronaldo Lopez is still learning how to pitch. I mean, Cease came up, but he's only had 4 starts. It's a little early to judge, but he's struggled. I mean, there's still a decent amount. They guys have to take step by step forward. Breakout close, but I'm not sure it's next year. It might be 2 years on the road. So, and I mean, Jose Abreu, I don't know what the deal is with him either. Holding on to him. I mean, you could have traded him for something. I feel like he's not. I mean, not.
Yankees are talking about 5 different relievers right now. I would love to hear this list of 5.
Braves just got John Ryan Murphy from the Diamondbacks in exchange for cash. Breaking news. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could go back to the list that people are making of trade candidates. If you look it up, I won't be trade candidates. But I mean, I don't know.
Why are the Giants suddenly going to move? Are the Giants suddenly going to move Will Smith, or even Sam Dyson for that matter?
Yeah, I don't understand that. The Giants made a really good deal. They got a good prospect at the deadline, and they still can contend because they gave up a reliever doesn't really know where the ball's going, who might turn out, that they're not using anyways, and then they gave up their, a guy who's kind of the odd man out in the rotation, who hasn't been good for them at all in their pitcher's part. So they got a really good prospect. So, I mean, I would already consider this a win for the Giants' deadline. I don't think the Giants are going to contend. I really don't. I think they're going to fade. Beat came up and done really good. They got guys that can call up. I mean, Derek Rodriguez could come back up. He had a really good year last year. I mean, they're not without options. So, I mean, Andrew Suarez could come back up. I know he started a little bit last year. I mean, there's just options for them. So I just don't understand why they would if they really want to go for it. I mean, I don't think they're going to make it, but if they want to go for it, they already got a really good prospect at the deadline. They didn't have to give up anything. And, they'll give Bumgarner the qualifying offer like we've been talking about. The one thing is the qualifying offer is good. And, if the Tigers don't get a good deal for Castellanos, I mean, I guess he's going to have to play out the year here. I don't think he's very happy, but I think we're going to see him dealt with in the next 20 minutes. But, I mean, there's always that option. And with a guy like Bumgarner, teams are still going to sign him with that qualifying offer. So, I mean, that really puts, it puts a bottom line I'm going to accept anyways. So the Giants still come out of today. We might lose Bumgarner to free agency next year, and they might draft the next Bumgarner or a really good position player that'll help them. I mean, that happens all the time. If you go back and look at compensation picks from the past, there's tons of good players who came out of those. So, I mean, I mean, I think Jacoby Ellsbury was a compensation pick for like Pedro Martinez or something. So I mean, I'm just trying to think of ones off the top of my head. It puts a real bottom line on what I mean, you need to offer a borderline first round caliber type player, or a top 100 prospect to get Baumgartner, and if not, I mean, look, they got Dubon for and a fifth starter. So
with 20 minutes,
I'm really interested to see what the Tigers.
With 20 minutes to go here before the deadline, the Mets have told teams in on Wheeler, if you don't up your offer, we're holding him. So I don't know if that's legit. I don't know if that's if Brody's game of chicken, but that's where we're at with 20 minutes. Also, supposedly, Brody's still in the bullpen market. I don't know what that market consists of at the moment. Here's a name I'd like to see Brody go get. Because again, when we talk about relievers and what you have to give up, I don't know if you'd have to give up a lot to get this guy, especially with the injuries that he's had this season. You already made a deal with Toronto once. Call them back up and go get Ken Giles.
Giles, I've always thought that guy's gotten a little bit unlucky, but he's a good player. He throws a really fast ball. He really fits the type of reliever in this game, and he's having a really good year on top of it. He's had some, he's had to take a cortisone shot and whatnot, but I mean, he was having a 1B season to Shane Green's 1A. I mean, if he was healthy and on the market, I mean, he's 28 still. I mean, go get Ken Giles. Go get him. I mean, he's a good player. The Jays definitely have another big trading chip with him.
Like seriously,
I mean,
if you have a, I mean, and we can call it a 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. But if you have your back four of the bullpen and Diaz, who we've chronicled has not been good, but Diaz, Giles, Lugo, and Gazelman, that's not horrible. Especially if you can just get Diaz to be somewhat capable here over the last 2 months.
Yeah. If you get Giles, you can remove him from the closer's role and work him back up. He actually, the year before last year, because he came up in 16, was electric, took the closer's role away from Steve Cishek. He got the closer's role taken away from him in 2017, and really, because he had a really bad start to the year, then he kind of settled it down and came back down to earth a little bit. And, the next year he was the lights-out guy that captivated the market. So if they could take the pressure off him a little bit, that might be big for him, where he's not closing. And then they could almost, with what for example, with what the Indians did a couple years ago in the playoffs, they had Cody Allen was their closer, and Brian Shaw. Anyway, Andrew Miller, the stopper, all that is, I mean, with bullpenning and stuff, it kind of gets lost in everything. That high when you're in a high leverage situation. You can't discount the fact that there is a psychological, factor of closing out a game, and you got your closer, and guys like to know when they're coming in. I mean, but then you got a guy like Andrew Miller who doesn't care when he comes in, and he's a really damn good player. So I mean, you could try to set up Diaz to become that, and then you'd have Ken Giles as your closer, and that could really work out too. But, I mean, the Mets are really in it. I mean, I don't expect them to make the playoffs, and they're about an average level team right now. They're 51 and 55. The two wild card spots are 57 and 50 and 56 and 50, which is a tie between the Cubs and Phillies for the second one. The Mets, who are in the same division as the Phillies, have 5 less wins and 5 less losses, so exactly 5 games behind the Phillies. So I mean, you could. That's just 3 games a month you got to make up. I mean, on one of these two teams, there's 2. So
we've got another deal to announce. The Braves have made a deal with the Giants for a reliever, and it's not Will Smith again. This time it is Mark Melanson.
Oh wow! Yeah, they got to get on both teams. I misspoke. Yeah, what in the world? That probably they didn't have to give up a ton, but so trying to see. It used to be these deals on before Twitter. You'd be able to get the full deal like at the break, and you'd know who's going both sides. But now it's just like, oh, Shane Green and Mike Lance are going to the Braves. I'd like to see what the Braves gave up, but I mean, you can't discount what the Braves are doing. They're coming up with solutions, and they're matching what the Nationals did, because the Nationals went out and got 3 relievers. So they went out and got.
Not just that, but give the Braves credit, because the Braves right now are, and I mean, I guess if you want to put the Nats under this umbrella, you can, but I'm not sure I want to do that. But the Braves right now that have actually gone out and addressed their area of need. The Braves needed bullpen help. They've gotten Green and Melanson. That's a help. The Yankees need arms. Haven't done anything. The Astros need arms. Haven't done anything. The Dodgers need a bullpen arm. Haven't done anything. I mean, you can't have these teams that we're talking about being viable World Series contenders standing pat here. I mean, there was 15 minutes left and nobody's pulling the trigger.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Like I said that already at the show. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, if you're in a World Series, prospects are good, and I love prospects. I mean, that's really I love to go to minor league games, and I love prospects. I mean, I love to watch players develop into really good players. So I like prospects more than anybody. But and getting of prospects. So, and I'm getting a rumor here from Mark Bowman. It says they're still waiting on completion for that Shane Green deal, but Alex Jackson was discussed as part of the potential package. If the Tigers only get Alex Jackson for Shane Green, I would be very disappointed, because Alex Jackson is not anything better than Jake Rogers. He's worse than Jake Rogers. So I don't understand what the Tigers are doing here. So it's going to really upset me. If Alex Jackson's a throw-in, I guess that's fine. I don't know what people see in him. I think he's a bust. He's probably never going to become much as a major league player, but I'd like to hopefully see that they got a pitch. So I don't understand why you go for Jackson and not because Shane Green was the best reliever on the market.
And here's the other thing I don't get from an Astros and I guess to a lesser extent a Yankees point of view, who were in on starting pitching at one point. Bumgarner's not going anywhere. Syndergaard's not going anywhere. Boyd's not going anywhere. The price for Robbie Ray was, if we let Wheeler apparently is iffy to go now. Why isn't anybody making a run for Zach Greinke? If you're willing to take on the money, or at least take on a majority of the money, the cost is going to be small.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they're just scared of going to luxury tax. I mean, we've seen it with the free agency. I just think it's a thing where owners now are not. I mean, the Steinbrenners and the Illiches of the world are no longer with us, and I just don't think there's a lot of teams willing to spend. I mean, there is no salary cap in baseball. There's the luxury tax, but I mean, it's just a fine basically that the owner has to pay out to the league. What is stopping you from going over that luxury tax if you have a chance to win the World Series? I mean, what do you own a baseball team for if you're not trying to win the World Series? I mean, it's the ultimate thing. It's for all the glory. And you're telling me a little bit of money is going to scare you off from getting a veteran pitcher that's proven ace. I mean, legitimate ace. He can be the number one guy in your in baseball down the stretch. I mean, I don't understand it. I totally agree with you. So I'm just waiting. Are the Tigers going to trade Castellanos? Now. I'm getting mad at the Tigers. I'm okay if they don't trade Boyd, but come on. I'm just reading this. If they only got Alex Jackson for Green, and where's Castellanos going? I mean, Castellanos is a guy who might be sitting with the qualifying offer because teams are fringy on everything except his bat. And I love Castellanos; he's my favorite player. But mean, it's just the reality of how people view him. I think he can really help a team down the stretch, and they could get a decent prospect for him. I mean, maybe a top 15 prospect in a team system, somebody with some upside, like they did with Leonis Martin last year when they got Willie Castro, and Willie Castro was, helped his value this year. They need to do that. I don't understand what's going on with the Tigers right now. Just Jackson's not part of this trade, and that it's just a rumor. But we'll see, and I hope they trade Castellanos. I'm sorry, I'm going off just a little bit traded with, just like traded.
Here's the thing. It's kind of we're coming into this season. Yet again, straddling the fence. They're in the middle. Then don't sell off the parts, but then go out and give yourself a shot. Or like you said, a cheap guy who can actually play center field and be somewhat of an upgrade. Okay, but you can't sit here and not do anything. All right? Because you're on a little winning streak against god-awful teams means nothing.
Yeah, I don't understand. Here is something that I read just now. Okay, it was 2 hours ago, but the Astros are most comfortable with Wheeler's acquisition price. Wondering if they'll give up. See, the thing I don't understand is Wheeler's going to be a free agent at year's end, right?
Yeah.
Or is it? Does he have a year and a half? If they're not comfortable giving up Tucker for Boyd, I just don't understand if they're going to give him up for
the Mets,
Wheeler. That doesn't make sense because I think Boyd's a better pitcher.
To everything that's been said, the Mets aren't asking for a prospect for Wheeler. Piece.
Well, Kyle Tucker is an MLB piece. He could come in and.
I mean, he should be a piece. He's not.
I think the Mets would gladly accept him as an MLB piece. I think they could come up and. The only thing is, who would you move to center? Would you play Kyle Tucker in center, or would you move Conforto to center? And then your whole outfield is going to look really bad because McNeil's already out of position in left field. I mean, he's an infielder playing outfield. So.
I was going to say the Mets don't like putting guys in their natural positions, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, for real.
Here is a non-trade related note, but nevertheless does have some effect on things. David Robertson, you might remember he was supposed to be the closer for the Phillies at one point this year, and he's been out for a while. He is now done for the year, and he might even need Tommy John.
Wow, that came out of nowhere. That news.
So
he pitched a little bit at the beginning of the year, didn't he?
Yeah, he was there. He was there for the first month or two, somewhere in that. Then he went down with, I forget what the original injury is, but now, yeah, the tweet went out less than 5 minutes ago and said he needs surgery to repair the flexor tendon, and he may need Tommy John.
Wow, he only pitched 6 2/3 innings, so he must have got hurt.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
Yeah, they had a really, really unlucky. They signed some older guys and they ended up getting hurt. Hutchins out for the year, which was a freak injury. I mean, both of those, you really can't say it. But I mean, they have not had good injury luck. That's for sure. They came through Detroit and they had 10 guys on the DL. So right there with the Braves, I think if they had a healthier team, but. I mean,
here's an interesting note. As to the questions of will Wheeler get moved or not. The rumor is that the Mets' asking price on Wheeler for a rental is sky high. They are asking for better quality than they just gave up for Stroman.
Yeah. See, that makes no sense. How are the Astros with that, but they're balking at Boyd? I just don't understand, unless they just...
No, but
how do you understand?
See, you're looking at this from the Boyd perspective. I'm looking at this from the Met perspective. If you're gonna put this price for Wheeler at sky high and hope somebody comes to you, again, I have no problem with that because, again, you have leverage. Wheeler is probably the best arm on the market right now based off of guys that are actually possibly moving. But again, if you're going to do that and that's not going to happen, you got to beef up somewhere else. You can't stand pat. This team isn't good enough.
Yeah, I don't understand. I understand what a lot of teams are doing, but I just think teams are getting too picky, and also, just, I think teams are settling.
And the other thing from a Met perspective, okay, in the deal, who everyone assumed was going to step into the rotation next year for Vargas or Wheeler or whomever. He'd be a piece of the rotation. That is obviously out of the equation right now. So if you don't move Wheeler, okay, obviously you can offer him the qualifying offer and work that thing, but that's still at best 50-50 that he's coming back. It's probably highly unlikely that if he hits the open market, he's going to take the qualifying offer based on what he can get on the open market. So why would you not attempt right now to gauge if you can sign him long term and keep that 5 in place? Because once he walks on the open market, you're gonna have to get somebody to fill in that spot. Okay, like I'm sorry, Walter Lockett, fine, but I don't want him in the top 5 of my rotation. He can be the swing guy.
Yeah. Well, Stroman at least bought them a year for that because basically Stroman takes K's place. K was having a really bad year in AAA, so that would have been he would have had to have a really strong spring training. But I mean, I just think there's a lot of GMs that don't know exactly what way to go. I just wanted to know. The most annoying thing about this deadline is that we're not getting any returns for anybody. We know Green and Melanson went to the Braves, but who the heck did the Braves give up? How many trades do you think we're going to see in the last? I mean, there's 5 minutes officially, but you always hear about a trade or two after.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'll say for the record, the deadline.
I'd say 5 more at least.
I'll say the deadline is at 4. We're gonna hang out here until about 4:15, 4:20, see what trickles in before we get out of here.
Probably get out and then the big trade will break. Like, remember the one year Manny Ramirez got traded, but it didn't get announced to the big Dodgers deal? Probably. We haven't talked about this, so let's go. This is the hard trade deadline. There is no trades after today. This is the first year this has happened. And one thing I have noticed is Jed Jerko, Ryan Murphy I mentioned earlier. We've seen smaller depth trades like that.
Yeah,
obviously teams are going to make those deals a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
if an injury
the Baldonado trade earlier for the Astros was a perfect example of a deal that normally wouldn't happen today.
For Kemp, but for both sides, because Russell, on top of all his off-the-field issues, struggled and they optioned him to AAA. So that was another depth. That was a depth move on both sides. Funny thing is, Maldonado ended up with Houston last year too. So that was a perfect deal for Houston because they got a guy familiar with their pitchers. So I really like that deal.
Yeah,
it could make the difference, but it's definitely going to hurt some teams because some teams are going to have injuries in August and not be able to do much about it. And if they don't have a guy in the minors, then you're kind of in trouble. So you're definitely in trouble. Somebody's either going to have to move their position or you're going to have a subpar guy.
All right, we've got 3 minutes left here before the deadline. So let me ask you 2 big questions. 1, do either the Yankees or the Astros get an arm here in the next 3 minutes?
The Yankees or the Astros? I would say more likely than not, I would put Houston in getting an arm. I think they might just. They're so close to a World Series again. Kyle Tucker at the last minute had a last minute change of heart, either Wheeler or somebody. So I would say the Astros are more likely.
Okay. The Dodgers, Red Sox, Twins. Do any of them reliever?
Are mostly. I don't think anybody gets a major reliever though. I mean, it gets traded to one of those. I don't think it's going to be a major deal. It's just going to be a shoring up trade. And I'd say the big left, unless we have like a Boyd or Wheeler blockbuster, is I think Nick Castellanos will probably. So that would be the biggest deal that I did predict. But I mean, like I said, we could have one of those last-minute pitcher trades or something, or Zach Greinke gets dealt to the Yankees. I don't know, something like that.
Okay, so
but we'll just have to see.
All right,
so
there we go. We've got
a minute.
I was saying we've got a couple of things right now.
I'm just getting this. At one point the Cubs and Tigers were close to dealing. Is this? Oh no! Wait. No, this is the real one. I always got to double check. It looked like the real guy. So Bruce Levine, who is for Chicago radio station, said at one point the Cubs in Detroit were close to dealing Castellanos for minor league catcher Johnny Pareda. So that is even less than I expected the Tigers to get for Castellanos.
All right. Well, to answer one of your questions, we still don't know what you got for Shane Green, but we do know that the Giants got Dan Winkler for Melanson. So we've answered that question. The Astros have gotten an arm. It's not a big one, though. They've gotten Joe Biagini from the Blue Jays.
Oh, okay.
So that's that. And apparently...
Angels just acquired Max Stassi.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. The Angels are in on Stassi from the Astros. So that is... But again, none of that is any of the issues.
Yeah. I think MLB Trade Rumors has at least 3 writers working right now. Because every time I refresh it, there's 3 different. There's a lot going on right now, but nothing crazy. They're all depth moves, but they're all coming in.
I mean, I'm sorry. If that is the Astros' move for today, that did not help them take a step toward the World Series.
No. Nobody really did, though, to be fair.
Right, the only team that did anything that would have made that would have stepped them closer to that is Atlanta. That's it, because Atlanta is the only team that I can say went out there today and addressed what they needed.
Because the Reds, the Reds. I don't necessarily agree with their vision because they're going up against 3 really good teams. The Cardinals are historically good. They're always in the playoff hunt. The Cubs have built up, what could be a borderline dynasty if they can really make it back this year. I mean, they've got all the cornerstones. And the Brewers are a really good team. What are you hearing?
Winkler was not the only piece in the Melanson deal. It was Winkler and Tristan Beck.
Okay, that makes it a little for the Giant. Because that didn't even make sense.
Okay.
But
and here are 2 other things. Felipe Vasquez not being dealt. So the Dodgers did not pull the trigger on that. And Zach Wheeler is not being dealt.
Okay. Not surprising on either aspect. The Tigers, if they had any little inkling of this information, like I said, I'm not mad at them if they didn't trade Boyd, and I guess I'm not mad at them if they didn't trade Castellanos. If all they could get was Double-A catcher Johnny Pareda, who not doing good, but
we are gonna have a deal leak in here momentarily. It looks like the Rays and Marlins made a deal.
Nobody knows who's involved.
No, we just
Starlin. I'm thinking Starlin Castro on this.
I was saying all we've got is that they were finalizing a deal here under the gun. So
it has to be for who else on Miami would get traded? They traded Romo. I mean Castro. I mean unless they got one of their pitchers like Richards. I kept hearing rumors that Richard would be on the block. So if they did that. But Castro, because the Rays had a little bit of trouble with the fact that they second base because Lau keeps getting hurt, and then Robertson was not having a good year. So I'm wondering if they got Starlin Castro. Also, Yandy Diaz and Lau are on the DL right now, so I'm very interested. Starlin Castro or what?
Here's the thing. You made mention to it earlier that this is the first year that we don't have the post July 31st trade window. That all deals need to be done today. You can't make a deal after this. Based off of how today's deadline has gone, and outside of something leaking in here over the next 15 minutes, it looks like we didn't get anything crazy here on deadline day. Do you think maybe MLB will relook this idea? I mean, the whole idea was that, to make sure that today was the day, that everybody would get the business done today and you'd see the big moves today. And I understand it's only 1 year, but we got the counter of that.
Here it is. The Tigers acquired Joey Wentz and Travis Demeritte from the Braves in exchange for Shane Green. So we only got the return. I like that return for the Tigers. Yeah, so I like the Wentz. Demeritte is a ticket. But we'll I just think it definitely did not. Maybe universal trade deadline is. I understand the idea because people get confused or whatnot. Even though I really don't think it's that hard of a concept to grasp. I mean, literally, it's just the guy has to clear waivers, and if not,
here's the thing. If you're
if
you're going to cut out the waiver deals for August, and you want to have a universal trade deadline, slide the deadline back.
Move the deadline. I was going to say,
just cut it in half. Meet everybody in the middle, and it makes sense. Because guess what? Teams will have a better understanding in 2 weeks and might actually, make some moves.
Yeah.
Here's a couple.
It was Nick Anderson. That was the deal.
Here's a couple other things.
Nick Anderson.
We talked about Stassi going to the Astros, or going to the Angels from the Astros. That apparently is going to get done. The Yankees have not made a deal. The Yankees have done nothing.
That's crazy. A lot of stuff that was supposed to happen didn't happen. The Yankees didn't make a deal. Who else didn't make a deal?
I was going to say, basically the big three. The Astros, the Dodgers, and the Yankees did nothing. Nothing. I don't care.
Did Boston do anything?
Boston didn't do anything, but then again, I mean, listen, I won't kill Boston for it, because even if they went out and got the reliever, they still got to make up ground. They're not really in the thick of this yet. Okay, yeah, a reliever would have helped that, but
didn't do anything.
Houston, the only deal that we've seen Houston do is that small deal for the arm.
Biagini and
here we go.
For Biagini and
Whoa!
They got what?
The Rays Marlins deal.
Trevor Richards is for Jesus Sanchez.
Sanchez.
Wow, I like this deal for the Marlins.
I was going to say, when did Jeter know what he was doing?
Wow.
Oh, wait, here we go.
I like Richards.
Well, here we go. Breaking news: Aaron Sanchez has been traded. The Yankees.
To where?
We don't know about Aaron Sanchez yet. The Yankees did make a deal, although it was a small one. They got Alfredo Garcia from the Rockies.
Wow. Groundbreaking stuff. That's a dumb deal.
But hold on, let's dive into this Rays Marlins deal because I had said that they were making a deal here under the gun. You had mentioned Castro as a possibility, but this Jesus Sanchez isn't anything to sneeze at.
Yeah, no, not. And they got Stanek, who is a good bullpen arm that they can at least. I mean, he's under team control for a while, so I mean, I don't think Nick Anderson's any better than Ryan Stanek, and I think Ryan Stanek really fit into the Rays system because he was doing the thing when they were using an opener, and so I think the main part of the deal for the Rays is getting Trevor Richards, who's pretty decent, but I think it's a bit of an overpay for him. But like I said, the one thing I will give the Rays, even though I don't think they won this deal, is that they are going for it. And the Yankees and Red Sox, we'll see if that has any effect. I mean, Trevor's, he could end up.
I guess in the Rays' own way they're going for it, but I don't know. I mean, would you say that any of the moves the Rays made today make them that much better than they were before today?
No, the only thing they can really hope for is that change scenery deal for Faria, which I really like that deal. Like I said, I think Faria is going to be really good. I think Aguilar can live back up to his potential. I think they both need to change the scenery, but if Aguilar really does revert to his last year self, I think they got a pretty good deal in that. But I bet you Sanchez went to the Yankees if I had to make a prediction. So
here we go.
Add on to it, Mike Minor did not get traded, and Madison Bumgarner did not get traded. It's also
but we did have a starter get traded. Mike Leake got traded.
Oh yeah, that was expected though. Where did Leake go?
Leake went to the Diamondbacks.
Do you know? What?
Again, in a move that doesn't make any sense to me. They were.
I mean, they're 54-54. I guess they want to make a small playoff.
Wait, this was the same team that was shopping Robbie Ray all day and even considering moving Zach Greinke, but all of a sudden they got Mike Leake?
Well, they didn't trade anybody. They got Zach Gallen, too. Obviously, they went for it. That's how you got to view that. I mean, originally that Gallen for Chisholm deal, I was thinking more or less that it was just a futures deal for both teams. They just did a prospect swap. Because the Marlins like Chisholm, Gallen looks like a really good starter. So I just thought it was just a prospect swap. But obviously they think Gallen can play into their plans this year.
Oh, here we go. We know. Oh, two big deals to Aaron Sanchez got traded to the Astros.
Okay. What else?
So Aaron Sanchez might get his hope of staying with her. And the trade that you've been asking for all day has happened. Nick Castellanos has been traded to the Chicago Cubs.
Wow. Second time the Tigers have traded my favorite player on the team. I wonder who they got because obviously the first deal fell through, so the Tigers had to invest for more. But my original Brennan Davis thing definitely good because Brennan Davis is their third-ranked prospect in the re-rank, and
I've got to assume that Aaron Sanchez is going to slide for Houston.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll break his losing streak. But now 3 hours for what the Tigers got Castellanos. It's that in here. We haven't heard anything on Matt Boyd. I just want to hear that on the map too.
I would assume that if they had moved Boyd, it would have squeezed out by now.
You broke up there. What did you say?
In response to your Matt Boyd question, I was saying that I would assume had they moved.
Yeah, probably, but Sanchez can be a genius. Also could be one return.
Trying to see what else we can get here.
So I'm going to assume that the Castellanos deal Castellanos, which I can't say I really like, but we knew the Tigers were going to get a ton for Castellanos. So unless the view hard. Going on right now.
Hey, hold on. We've got a big move. The leak to
What
Arizona
happened?
thing makes sense.
Why did they trade Greinke or Ray
They traded Greinke.
to the Yankees, right?
No. The Astros have gotten Aaron Sanchez and Zach Greinke.
There goes. I bet you. There goes Cal Tucker. I bet you that's the deal. I bet you it's Cal Tucker for Greinke straight up. Arizona eats money. If I had to guess, like that would happen.
But see, this is what I was talking about. This is what I was saying. All these names aren't going. Where somebody's got to go for Greinke.
Well, I think that definitely puts the Astros control the AL. I mean, it looked like their dominant 2017 selves when I got to see them in Detroit. So the Astros are definitely the favorite in the AL over the Yankees. See, I want to hear Matt Boyd staying though, because now that means the Yankees could have traded for Boyd because they have Clint Frazier, and Clint Frazier would fit perfect for the Tigers, especially now that they dealt Castellanos. So I want to hear that too before we sign off here. I just want to hear Matt Boyd stayed put because a lot just happened. Officially, and Alex Jackson might still be at the deal, but I don't even. The Tigers.
Well, I'll say I'm not going to sign off here until we get what this Greinke package is.
Excuse me. It's got to be Cal. I'm assuming it's Cal Tucker in the 8th.
Well, that's the thing. What's the money situation?
That's why it took so long. Came out there working it to the wire.
All right, so here's what we know. We know it's 4 prospects heading to the Diamondbacks for Greinke. We don't have the names yet.
Nope, it's not. It's not Cal Tucker then, I bet.
Say not if it's 4 prospects. I mean, that would be a heck of a haul if you got Tucker plus 3. And if you somehow manage to get Tucker plus 3, I got to assume that the Astros are taking on all, if not most, of the money.
Let's look at there's a MLB. I wish Baseball America, they used to let you view the top 10 prospects when they updated them mid-season.
Just think about this. In a 7-game series now, Houston's throwing at you Verlander, Cole, Greinke, Sanchez.
Yeah, and who did they give up in that deal? All right, so let's take a guess here. I think Corbin Martin's going to Arizona. I think Seth Beer's going to Arizona. Maybe. Taking a guess here. Then maybe 2 prospects. And for Sanchez and Biagini, I don't know. It's a lot going on. Forrest Whitley probably didn't go anywhere. I'm thinking Whitley and Tucker didn't go anywhere, so I'm assuming Seth Beer probably got traded. Corbin Martin probably got traded. JB probably got traded, so they probably.
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna say if we're gonna play the guessing game of prospects. Like you said, I'm in agreement. We're not. I don't. Unless something crazy happened, Tucker and Whitley are probably not in here. Beer's a possibility. You know, you brought up
I think it's a half hour.
you brought up Martin. You know, did they move Bukakis? You know, they've got Louis Santana, who's a decent hitter down there. Garrett Stubbs, a catcher. They made moves for catchers earlier, so they've also got Armenteros down there, another arm. Okay. Well, we now have a confirmation that Kyle Tucker is not in the Greinke deal. Not that we really needed that. We figured that out already. All right, here we go. We got
another thing.
Well, hold on. We got some more deals that came in here. The Giants.
Oh wow!
The Giants got Scooter Gennett.
Wow.
Sam Dyson went to the Twins.
The Giants really are going for it.
The Giants also got Joe McCarthy from the Rays.
It's an interesting deal. Another one side, it's diminishing every year. Not a lot of nickname prospects got dealt. Honestly, let's go. What was the highest ranked prospect that got dealt?
Here you go, Nick. It is Alex Lang and Paul Rashawn for Castellanos.
Oh, wow. Okay. Who is the other guy? Besides Lang?
Paul Rashawn.
Okay, 2 pitchers. I like Lang.
So
okay.
They
got 2 decent prospects.
I was say that just came across 5 minutes ago. So that is the deal for Castellanos.
Okay, I'll take that. Avila didn't do that bad. He didn't do great, but I'll give it to him. He did okay.
I'm amazed that after all this time, with everything the Giants did, all they moved was Sam Dyson. That was it.
Well, they got rid of Pomeranz.
Well, whatever. I mean, I don't really think moving Pomeranz was that big a deal.
Jesus Sanchez was the top guy who got moved today, and it was for Trevor Richards. So that tells you that was an overpay.
But see, there you go. There's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Sam Dyson got moved to the Twins. The Mets didn't do anything. Couldn't have got Sam Dyson.
So, yeah. Top prospect traded today was Jesus Sanchez, who ranks 42nd.
Yeah, I was going to say Sanchez is probably the biggest one.
On MLB pipelines.
I would say, and then, I mean, Gallen still probably falls under the prospect umbrella, so he's probably the second. But I don't know if there's anybody else top 100 in there besides
Chisholm. But that was almost a prospect for prospect deal. It's just Gallen.
Is Chisholm still in the 100?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
59. Yep, that was it. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, nobody else really moved.
Unless Seth Beers is the trade, and he is ranked 100th. And Logan Allen is 98th on MLB pipelines.
Yeah.
So he might have gotten 2 guys at the very bottom of the list moved. I'm assuming Seth Beer probably won in that deal. Because he's the best prospect that was probably not untouchable. It depends on how much the contract they ate, though. But if they got 4 prospects, I'm assuming they got probably a good one, a medium one, and
there we
two
go.
upside.
It's Martin and Bukakis.
Okay. So there you go. They didn't even get beer.
Yeah,
So,
it says Martin Bukakis and 2 other recent picks of their system. So guys that they probably drafted this year.
so there'll be players to be named.
Yeah. But that's it. So Corbin and Bukakis essentially for Greinke. And you know, was it not Corbin who either just had or is having Tommy John?
Corbin, Mark, he got hurt. I'm not sure it's Tommy John, though. Let me read. Oh, yeah, he did have Tommy John. You're right. I knew it was a major surgery, but I didn't know if it was that major, but it is.
Yeah, so, I mean...
Corbin will come back as a major league prospect, and Kakis is right there.
So, there, I mean... You know, you're playing the long game with Martin. I mean, that's 2 years before you get anything.
Well, they're rebuilding. Who do you think Scooter Connect got traded for? He probably didn't get much because he's a free agent after this year, so he probably actually did not get traded for much. Especially if the Giants got him, because who do they have to give up?
According to this tweet from Nightingale, it seems that the Astros picked up a majority of the Greinke deal.
Well, they can afford. Kind of makes up for them not. That's a good place to land for Greinke too. Good pitching coach. I mean, it's kind of a little more of a hitter's park, but we'll be fine.
Lance McCullers is a big fan of the Greinke deal on Twitter.
No, Seth Beer was in the deal. Joel Sherman. Astros traded Beer, Josh Rojas, Corbin Martin, and Bukakis.
Oh, so okay. I see it now. I don't understand why they went with 2 recent. I mean, Beer was drafted.
I like Beer, but
Beer was 2 years ago, right? He wasn't this year.
He was last year.
Yeah, so I don't understand why he went recent. Could have just said Beer, but okay.
Who tweeted it? It was probably somebody not familiar with prospects. Cause the Astros were not out of the no-trade clause, so nothing had to be waived. So obviously he's comfortable there. Let's see Boyd. I just want to see if anybody said Matt Boyd's staying. It was very likely he stayed, but...
I'll say the fact that nothing has been brought up at this point, I think it's very safe to say.
Tigers are getting a player to be named later in the Shane Green deal. The Tigers did a pretty decent job with the can't stay out of no steal. Lang was a really good college prospect, and Sean has developed into a good prospect for them. So,
all right. Well, now that we've got the return for Greinke kind of hammered out, we can kind of do this, do the wrap up here. The Dodgers and Yankees are by far big losers today because they did nothing to help themselves at all.
And the Astros were already the best team in the
I was going to say, the Astros, okay, I mean, the Astros are the clear winner in the AL by getting Greinke. I mean, that moves them head and shoulders ahead of anybody else. And as far as helping themselves today, I mean, the Giants did a lot in an effort to try and go for it.
The Diamondbacks did good for rebuilding.
I'm sorry, I still like what the Braves did. They went out, they had a clear need, and they got 2 arms that will absolutely help.
Yeah, but they got 3 really, because Chris Martin the other day. So they got Melanson, Martin, and Green.
You know, and And basically what they did, basically what the Braves did was, they are the leader right now in that division. They saw the Nats, who are the only one that's really clipping at their heels, go out and kind of go quantity over quality and getting a bunch of kind of those mid bullpen arms and guys like Elias and Strickland. And the Braves just basically went out and said, all right, we want up you, and we're going to get True back of the road. Because guess what? On the same day that both teams addressed their bullpens, the Braves bullpen is still better than the Nats.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the Central, obviously the Reds made the deal for Bauer the other day. The Cubs made the only big deal today for Castellanos. I mean, I don't know if Castellanos really moves the needle that much to pull them away from anybody.
And another thing is, Matt Boyd officially did not get traded.
There you go. Now you can feel better.
Huh?
I said, there you go. Now you can feel better.
Yeah. He's in the dugout right now wearing Tiger stuff. So if he got traded, he'd be getting talked to right now, and they'd be making arrangements for him to catch a flight. So. And I'm okay with the Tigers
doing it. By the way,
it.
Why is MLB Network is showing me the Astros rotation right now of Verlander, Cole, and Greinke, and then Wade Miley and Jose Urquidy. I'm sorry, Aaron Sanchez is getting in that rotation. Stop.
We'll see. It'd be interesting to see if he's a late inning addition. And Biagini is a good middle reliever. He's been decent at it for a few years, so. I liked what the Astros did. They got depth. They got quality. They had a good quantity-quality day. They got to hold on to Whitley and Tucker. I hope they give Tucker a chance. And then just a little thing for the Tigers. I like what they did. I think the Castellanos deal is a win-win. Castellanos gets to go to a contender. He's going to play right field. Jason Hayward's going to play center. Then late in the game, they can take Castellanos out, put Hayward in right, bring in Albert Almora, so that works out for the Cubs. The Tigers got two better prospects than I expected they would. They didn't really get any bats, but the Tigers are loading up on arms, just like the Padres and Braves did, and the Rays to some extent. So, you can never have enough arms. And hopefully, they drafted Riley Green, but hopefully this offseason they can trade Boyd for somebody like Kyle Tucker or somebody. I mean, it could be anybody this offseason. But Boyd will have 2 years of team control left. The Tigers can, ride it out the publicity of having at least two guys that you could name on their roster for the casual fan with him and Cabrera for the rest of this year, and hopefully trade him in the offseason. But, if they weren't going to get a good enough deal, then I'm happy with what they did. I'm sure you're mad about what your Mets did.
I was going to say, since you gave your Tigers breakdown here, we'll wrap this up with the Mets. Listen, Brody, I have no problem with you leveraging and asking for a ransom for Wheeler based off of how everything played out. And based off of what they got for Greinke, the Astros gave up for Greinke, I don't even have a problem with what he asked for Wheeler, even though Wheeler was a rental. I don't have a problem with anything Brody did from that aspect. The problem I have is that you were in a staring contest. You were playing chicken with everybody else in the league, trying to get them to come to your price. And in the end, you blinked because nobody did. And instead of having the contingency of, well, if we keep him, let me address the areas of need elsewhere, you did nothing. You stood pat. Basically, your deadline was making the move for Marcus Stroman. Basically, a swap of Stroman for Vargas, which could have been done at the beginning of the year when everybody was asking you to get rid of Vargas anyway. So now this team has a solid starting five, a lineup which on any given night can put up 6 or could put up nothing, and a bullpen which is Jekyll and Hyde. And you're already 5 games out with teams to overcome. I'm sorry, you did nothing. If you're going all in, if that's the sense I'm supposed to take from today, you did nothing to help with that.
Yeah. I liked the Stroman deal at first, but I think they would have, they really needed to
The
add on to it.
Stroman deal, because it was early, was supposed to be the signal of what was to come, not that was it.
Yep, I agree. They had a strong start, and they did not finish well. So
Seriously, if they had gotten Stroman and today you had told me they had gotten, hell, Sam Dyson, or, just get me a couple of bullpen arms, anything, I would have said, okay, fine. At least he did that. At least he's trying to, fix an area. But no, nothing. Nothing. The same team that was there yesterday is there today. And I'm supposed to feel better about the situation?
yeah,
All right. So let's take we'll take one last look here at the Twitter machine, see if anything else is leaked.
shout out to the Diamondbacks too. I like what they did today. Getting Gallen, and they definitely. I mean, if you're going to trade Greinke, that's how you do it. You got rid of most of his salary. You got 4 really good prospects. So I really like what they did. The Marlins definitely got creative. Let's see what Chisholm did, but Jeter showing a little bit of wit today. I liked it.
Here we go. The Dodgers got Adam Kolarek.
From the Rays.
There you go. There's the Dodger move.
They had Jerko too. So 2 depth moves for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, the thing about them, though, is they might just call up Gavin Lux down the stretch, and if they do, he's a really good player. So they might be relying a little more on their internal, like they did with Will Smith. But, they needed a bullpen arm, and they did the same thing as the Mets. They could have went out. I mean, maybe not Sam Dyson because it was the Giants. The Giants probably aren't going to trade him into division rival, but there were other arms out there, and, it would have been nice for them to get an arm or two. Shane Green, they could have matched that deal for sure. I mean, Gonsolin, and could have gave up Tony Gonsolin, and, they could have beat Denver. I mean, I didn't mind it for the Tigers.
The Dodgers have one of the deepest systems in baseball. Oh, go out and get Felipe Vasquez. I know what the price was. I get it. But you can eat that. You can eat that and still be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, if I were the Dodgers, too, you could have offered Jacob Amaya, which is a better middle infield prospect, higher upside than what the Tigers got in Demerit. And you could have offered Josiah Gray, who is a lot better, and he doesn't fit into your future plan. And you got Shane Green for a year and a half to set up Kenley Jansen.
I'm saying forget the Shane Green situation. I'm saying they could have swallowed Ruiz in May for Vasquez and been fine.
Yeah.
All right? For a team that has made the World Series each of the last 2 years and come up on the losing end, they certainly didn't act like a team that wanted to go out and win one today.
Yeah. That is very true.
All right. Well, that's it for the deadline edition. Basically, we got one big fish.
Yeah.
Greinke goes to the Astros as the Astros attempt to etch their names on the World Series trophy for the second time in a few years. And you know what? I almost hope that the Dodgers get there again and see the Astros so Greinke can throw at them. Well, for 2 reasons. A, because, the Dodgers let Greinke go when he left to go to Arizona. That's 1. And 2, because that is the signal of a team that went for it when the Dodgers didn't.
Yeah.
And let that be the reason why you lose the World Series for the 3rd straight year.
To the Astros again.
All right. Well, again, that's it for the deadline edition of the show. As always, for Nik Jarvinen, I'm Dan Siegel. Brody, I swear, over the next 3 months, learn how to become a general manager because you didn't do it today.